the questions from the people. Senator Schiff, given the ongoing political tensions and Trump's actions toward his critics, do you think President Biden's preemptive pardons turned out to be more important than initially expected? Let's first tell people what that means, preemptive pardons. That was pretty unprecedented, right? Before he left office, Joe Biden pardoned you and a number of people who he thought Trump would go after.
Today, we're diving into one of the weirdest, sharpest showdowns you didn't even know you needed. Adam Schiff versus Bill Maher. Yeah, you heard that right. It's not a screaming match. It's something way more subtle, and honestly, way more brutal. On HBO Overtime, Schiff, the man who's basically built a career fighting Trump, sat across from Bill Maher, the guy who's made a career trashing everyone with a functioning brain cell. And when these two started picking apart everything from Biden's pardons, to California turning into a progressive nightmare, to how social media is basically rotting the minds of America's kids, you could literally feel the passive-aggressive tension oozing off the stage. Was Schiff being the responsible adult in the room, or was he just playing defense for a broken system? Was Maher a truth-teller exposing the rot, or just another grumpy old man yelling at the clouds? Let's break it all down, and spoiler alert, nobody gets out of this one clean.
No, I take the opposite view. I don't think he should have given the pardons at all.
Really?
No, I don't think he should have, and I was vocal about that at the time.
Can you refuse a pardon?
That's less clear because in the case of the January 6th committee, he pardoned essentially the whole committee.
I see.
But I didn't like it both because we were enormously proud of our work on the January 6th committee, but more than that, establishing a precedent that on the way out the door, you're going to pardon any number of people, gave him even greater latitude on his way out of the door to pardon everyone around him. Chief Justice Roberts, in that immunity decision, I think, which will go down in infamy, already gave this president permission to be lawless. But the abuse of the pardon power essentially gives him an opportunity to tell everyone around him, then when I'm on the way out the door, I've got your back. And so I think part of why you see such willingness among the people around him to engage in lawless action is they're confident they'll get a pardon on the way out the door.
You know, the idea that before anyone even gets charged, you just start handing out pardons like Oprah, handing out free cars. You get a pardon. You get a pardon. Everybody gets a pardon. So Adam Schiff, yes, that Adam Schiff, Mr. Impeachment Trial Warrior himself, straight up called out Biden's preemptive pardon strategy, and honestly, he's got a point. Schiff said it loud and clear. This was a massive mistake. Because once you start normalizing pre-crime pardons, you're basically telling every crooked official, every shady insider, hey, don't sweat it. When it's my time to go, I'll clean up your mess on the way out. And it gets worse. Schiff teased this right into the Supreme Court's recent disaster of a ruling, the one that basically tells Trump, hey buddy, go wild. Break the law, bend the rules, you're good as long as you're president. Schiff is warning that between unchecked executive power and this new free-for-all pardon party, we're setting the stage for future presidents to operate like straight-up mob bosses. Loyalty first, laws second. Schiff's screaming a 5-alarm warning here. If we keep playing this pardon your buddies game, accountability is dead. The rule of law and democracy, well, on life support at best. And guess what? He's not wrong.
What, did you read about the judge today that was arrested by, it's such a new story. I didn't want to bring it up during the show because I don't know enough about it, but there was a judge in Milwaukee, I guess it was a hearing for an illegal immigrant, definitely an illegal immigrant, and the ICE people came in to arrest this person, and apparently the judge spirited the person out the back door. That's what I read. Don't know if it's true because I don't trust anybody until I do a full vetting of it. But if this is and so the FBI came in and arrested the judge. Now, I haven't heard that, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever read arrested a judge. So is this significant?
Well, I think
I'm not going to comment on something I don't know more about than what you've just told me.
You read about it too?
Yeah, I mean, I read about it, but I don't know.
So you don't trust anything either, and you work for the New York Times.
Well... New York Times does its full reporting, I will trust that.
Okay, all right.
So get this. There's this insane story flying around. A judge supposedly helped an undocumented immigrant escape ICE agents right out the back door of a courthouse. And then, bam, the FBI storms in and arrests the judge. Sounds like a Netflix script, right? Well, that's the problem. It sounds way too perfect to be real. And even Adam Schiff and Bret Stephens, two guys who usually couldn't agree on what color the sky is, were both like, yeah, not buying it yet. And honestly, good, because today's media, they'll slap breaking news on a dog sneezing if they think it'll get 1 million clicks. Half these journalists are just typing faster than they can think. No fact-checking, no context, just raw emotional bait designed to make you rage-click yourself into a coma. Schiff and Stephens accidentally stumbled into real wisdom here. Don't trust anything you hear at first, even if it's from the gold standard outlets. Because these days, reliable sources are just slightly better dressed gossip blogs. If the story's true, fine, let's talk about it. But until then, stay skeptical, stay smart, and remember, every time you hear breaking, odds are they're just breaking your brain for ad revenue.
If film and TV productions continue to move out of California due to tax incentives in other states, what might the future look for Los Angeles? Is there a risk of it becoming the next Detroit? Well, there's no need to shit on Detroit in the question. Detroit's a fine city. Detroit.
Well,
I mean, the central part of that question is that California, I'm sorry to say this, a beautiful state, has become Exhibit A in progressive misgovernance. And if you're going to tax industries straight out of the country, if you're going to continue to lose, I don't know, 100,000, 200,000 people every year who have to leave here because it's unaffordable, because housing is unaffordable, you're going to create an example of what Americans don't want from the left. So Democrats, and my colleague Ezra Klein is doing this, are taking a good hard look at California and saying, we're not that. We need to be a party that's from some other model.
Well, I don't disagree that we've got to do a lot to improve governance in California, but I don't agree with the diagnosis of why the film industry is leaving. They're leaving because they're getting richer incentives in other states and in other countries. And we haven't kept pace with that. So if you want to film in the United Kingdom, you're going to get a tremendous tax break, and our motion picture industry has left the country. If you want to film in New York or Georgia, there are generous tax incentives. If we want to keep the industry here, we're going to have to compete with tax incentives. California has started to do that. But on a federal level, I think the United States is also going to have to offer incentives to keep this industry here and to compete around the world. It didn't used to be necessary, but they're successfully wooing away this prize economic and cultural driver of the United States. So I have a deep personal interest, both because I represent this area for a long time in the House, and I love this industry. I love going out to the movies. I love watching great TV like your program. But
Bret Stephens came in hot, calling California a living, breathing billboard for progressive misgovernance. And you know what? He's not wrong. Between sky-high taxes, red tape thicker than a Marvel movie plot, and housing prices that could make a Saudi prince flinch, it's no wonder people are fleeing like the place is on fire. Now, credit where it's due. Adam Schiff tried to sprinkle some reality in there. He said, hey, slow down. Hollywood's not leaving because they hate California politics. They're chasing better tax deals in Georgia, New York, and even the freaking UK. But here's where it gets spicy. Both of them kinda admit that California's bleeding out, and not just in the movie business. It's the cost of living. It's the regulations. It's the fact that building a house there takes longer than finishing Game of Thrones, and with about the same disappointing ending. And, honestly, Schiff and Stephens hit a rare moment of clarity. You can't just fix California by throwing more money at Hollywood. Thanks for hanging out, breaking it all down with me, and not letting the media brainwash you without a fight. If you like this breakdown, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that little bell so you don't miss the next time we torch political nonsense live on camera. Drop your thoughts in the comments too. I want to hear what you think about this madness. See you in the next one.